communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Millennium News Hour. I am Tanzeeba Naurin. In today's bulletin, we will present top and trending news from across the nation and the world. Let's begin with the headlines of the day. Blinken to visit Israel as the US seeks urgent steps to ease regional tensions. US House Republicans' Israel-only aid bill opposed in Senate by Biden. Donald Trump Jr. takes the witness stand in New York trial of fraud suit against his father. Trump asks a court to prevent Michigan Secretary of State from leaving his name off the 2024 ballot. US Virgin Islands declares a state of emergency after lead and copper found in tap water in St. Croix. First foreigners leave Gaza for Egypt through Rafah crossing. Dozens killed as Israel again hits refugee camp. Artificial intelligence safety, UK, US, China signed pledge at first summit. Bolivia cuts ties with Israel over Gaza strikes. Anti-migration deadline, thousands of Afghans leave Pakistan. Bangladesh launches new India-assisted rail projects and thermal power unit amid opposition protest. South Africa beat New Zealand by 190 runs in ICC Cricket World Cup 2023. And Saudi Arabia certain to host 2034 FIFA World Cup as Australia drops out. You were listening to headlines, now news in detail. Top US diplomat Antony Blinken will begin a new Middle East trip this week, a spokesperson announced Tuesday, as President Joe Biden seeks urgent mechanisms to reduce regional tensions over the Israel-Hamas war. Secretary Blinken will travel to Israel on Friday for meetings with members of the Israeli government and then will make other stops in the region, State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said, without further details. The White House said later that Biden had spoken Tuesday with the leader of key U.S. partner Jordan, where Blinken has visited multiple times since Hamas launched its October 7 attack on Israel. Biden and King Abdullah II discussed urgent mechanisms to stem violence, calm rhetoric, and reduce regional tensions. A White House statement said. It added that the two leaders agreed that it is critical to ensure that Palestinians are not forcibly displaced outside of Gaza and that Biden had confirmed unwavering U.S. support for Jordan and His Majesty's leadership. The shock cross-border attack by Hamas fighters killed more than 1,400 people, according to Israeli officials, while more than 230 people, some American citizens, were taken hostage. US senators from both parties voiced doubts on Tuesday about House Republicans' plan to provide $14.3 billion in aid to Israel by cutting Internal Revenue Service funding without providing aid to Ukraine, and Democratic President Joe Biden threatened to veto the bill were it to pass. In the first major legislative action under new Speaker Mike Johnson, House of Representatives Republicans unveiled a standalone supplemental spending bill only for Israel on Monday. This is despite President Joe Biden's request for a $106 billion package that would include aid for Israel and Ukraine and funding to boost competition with China in the Indo-Pacific as well as security along the US border with Mexico. Republicans have a 221-212 majority in the House, but Biden's fellow Democrats control the Senate 51-49. To become law, the bill would have to pass both the House and Senate and be signed by Biden. The top Senate Democrat said the Republican bill would be dead on arrival in the upper chamber even if it passed the House. The bottom line is it's not a serious proposal, Senate Democratic Majority Leader Chuck Schumer told reporters. The administration said Biden would veto such a bill were it to reach his desk. When Donald Trump became president in 2017, he handed day-to-day management of his real estate empire to his eldest sons, Donald Jr. and Eric. Now, as the Trumps fight to keep the family business intact, the brothers are set to testify in the New York civil fraud case that threatens their Trump organization's future. Donald Trump Jr. testified on Wednesday and Eric Trump is expected to testify on Thursday, kicking off a blockbuster stretch as the trial in New York Attorney General Letitia James' lawsuit enters its second month. James, a Democrat, alleges that Donald Trump, his company, and top executives, including Eric and Donald Trump Jr., conspired to exaggerate his wealth by billions of dollars on financial statements that were given to banks, insurers, and others to secure loans and make deals. Donald Trump, the former president, family patriarch, and 2024 Republican frontrunner, is slated to take the stand on Monday. State lawyers have expected to call his eldest daughter, ex-Trump Organization executive, and a White House advisor Ivanka Trump as their final witness on November 8. On Wednesday, her lawyer filed an appeal challenging a judge's decision to require her testimony. Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump are both executive vice presidents at the Trump Organization and defendants in James' lawsuit. Eric has oversight over the company's operations, while Donald Trump Jr. has been involved in running the company's property development. He and longtime company finance chief Alan Weisselberg were also trustees of the revocable trust Trump set up to hold the company's assets when he became president. Former President Donald Trump is asking a court to prevent Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson from leaving his name off the 2024 primary ballot. In a filing made Monday in the Michigan Court of Claims, Trump's attorneys also warned the court to declare that Benson has neither the duty nor authority to assess Trump's constitutional qualifications to serve as president. Trump's filing is in response to efforts by activists in Michigan who have asked a judge to order Benson to keep his name off any ballot for president. They point to a section of the U.S. Constitution's 14th Amendment that prohibits a person from running for federal office if they have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the U.S. or given aid or comfort to those who have. Last week, a court of claims judge denied Trump's request to dismiss their lawsuit, the Detroit Free Press reported. The activist efforts mirror others around the nation that paint Trump as the inciter of the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, which was intended to stop Congress from certifying Joe Biden's 2020 presidential election win. A lawsuit in Colorado also is focusing on the Constitution's insurrection clause to bar Trump from that state's 2024 ballot. Lawyers representing 6 Republican and unaffiliated Colorado voters argue that Trump's violent rhetoric preceding the attack makes him culpable. A hearing also is scheduled this week before the Minnesota Supreme Court. The governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands announced Wednesday that he declared a state of emergency after officials revealed last week that tap water in St. Croix contains lead and copper and warned people not to consume it. The declaration, signed Monday by Governor Albert Bryan, frees up urgently needed resources, streamlines emergency response, and allows the U.S. territory to seek federal help. The government also froze prices for bottled water and other products as local and federal authorities continue to test and monitor the water in St. Croix. The investigation began in late September following complaints of reddish-brown water on the island of more than 50,600 people. Officials have said that while the water should not be ingested or used for cooking, it is safe to use for showering and cleaning. We will be back after a short break. Till then, stay with us. This world continuously revolving around various events. Every minute, every second, something is happening somewhere around the globe, and you want to get connected to that event or to that specific moment. Here we come, Millennium News Hour, to get you connected with top USA and international trending news, which includes local news, political news, world news, business news, health and science related news, entertainment news, sports news, and so on. Millennium News 24 is transmitted and available to be watched free for all at TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV, and Apple TV, and also in all European countries and Australia, available with Sky Network, Worldwide Jago TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network, and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with Millennium News Hour to get the world news on your fist. Welcome back to Millennium News Hour. Now it's time for global updates. Hundreds of foreign passport holders and wounded trapped in Gaza started leaving the war-torn territory on Wednesday as the Rafah crossing to Egypt opened for the first time since the October 7 Hamas attacks. AFP correspondents reported convoys of desperately needed aid have passed between Egypt and Gaza, but no people have been allowed through the Rafah crossing. Queues formed early Wednesday at the terminal, and some 545 foreigners and dual nationals, along with about 90 sick and wounded, were expected to leave. After being allowed into the terminal area, huge queues formed around crossing booths for checks on passports and other documents. Ambulances waited on the Egyptian side to take away the wounded and sick. The zone around the terminal has been hit during Israeli air raids on Gaza after the Hamas attacks, which Israeli authorities say left 1,400 dead, mostly civilians. Another 240 people were taken hostage. Some of those being taken out for treatment in Egyptian hospitals are among more than 15,000 wounded in retaliatory Israeli strikes, which the Hamas-run health ministry says have killed more than 8,500 people, two-thirds of them women and children. Injured residents and foreigners escaped Gaza to Egypt on Wednesday, the first evacuations from the war-torn Palestinian territory founded by Israeli warplanes. The brief glimmer of hope sparked by the temporary opening of the Rafah border crossing was quickly snuffed out as a fresh strike pulverized buildings in Gaza's biggest refugee camp for a second consecutive day, killing dozens, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. AFP reporters at Gaza's southern border saw ambulances whisking away the wounded to Egyptian field hospitals, including the young boy with heavy bandaging around his stomach. Whole families struggling to carry their worldly possessions rushed through the heavily fortified crossing towards Egypt, which was expected to admit at least 400 foreign passport holders and 90 of the most seriously wounded and sick. Countries including the UK, United States, and China on Wednesday agreed the need for international action as political and tech leaders gathered for the world's first summit on artificial intelligence safety. The UK government kicked off the two-day event at Bletchley Park, north of London, by publishing the Bletchley Declaration, signed by 28 countries and the European Union. In it, they agreed on the urgent need to understand and collectively manage potential risks through a new joint global effort to ensure AI is developed and deployed in a safe, responsible way for the benefit of the global community. Sunak called the declaration a landmark achievement, while King Charles III, in a video message to the summit, urged international collaboration to combat the significant risks of unchecked development. There is a clear imperative to ensure that this rapidly evolving technology remains safe and secure, he said. UK Technology Minister Michelle Donnellan told AFP that the declaration really outlines for the first time the world coming together to identify this problem. The announcement came shortly after the UK and the United States both said they were setting up their own institutes to assess and mitigate the risks of the fast emerging technology. Bolivia said on Tuesday it was severing diplomatic ties with Israel over its disproportionate attacks in Gaza, as two other Latin American countries recalled their ambassadors over the mounting humanitarian crisis. Bolivia has decided to cut diplomatic relations with the State of Israel in repudiation and condemnation of the aggressive and disproportionate Israeli military offensive being carried out in the Gaza Strip, Deputy Foreign Minister Freddy Mermani told a press conference. Minister of the Presidency Maria Nela Prada also announced the country was sending humanitarian aid to Gaza. We demand an end to the attacks in the Gaza Strip, which have so far caused thousands of civilian deaths and the forced displacement of Palestinians, she said at the same press conference. The government of leftist Luis Arce is the first in Latin America to cut ties with Israel since the divisive conflict erupted with the Hamas attacks on October 7, which Israeli authorities say killed more than 1,400 people, mostly civilians. Israel responded on Wednesday by slamming Bolivia's move as a surrender to terrorism. Pakistani authorities began rounding up undocumented foreigners, most of them Afghans, on Wednesday, ahead of a midnight deadline for them to leave or face expulsion. The removal of people to temporary holding centers began a day earlier than previously announced. The Interior Ministry said 140,322 people had already voluntarily left after days in which trucks piled high with belongings and crammed with people have jammed major roads out of the country. Afghans have made up the bulk of those to have left so far after what for some has been decades living in Pakistan, brushing off calls to reconsider from the United Nations, rights groups and Western embassies. Pakistan, citing security concerns, set the November 1 start date last month for the expulsion of all undocumented immigrants, including hundreds of thousands of Afghans. A process to arrest the foreigners for deportation has started as of November 1, the Interior Ministry said in a statement, while adding the voluntary return would still be encouraged. Within hours of the Interior Ministry's statement, authorities had begun detaining and transferring what they said were undocumented foreigners to transit centers. India and Bangladesh launched two new railway links and a thermal power plant unit Wednesday to strengthen connections and energy security in the region amid strong opposition protests in Bangladesh. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina jointly inaugurated the three Indian-assisted development projects via video conferencing. India provided 47.8 million for a cross-border train link and a 388.92 million concessional line of credit for the Khulna-Mongla Port Rail Line in Bangladesh. India provided another 1.6 billion for Bangladesh's 1,320 megawatt super thermal power project, according to India's External Affairs Ministry. Hasina is facing street protest from opposition supporters who demand that her government resign and hand power to a non-partisan caretaker to oversee a general election next year. At least 6 people have been killed and dozens injured during street protests since Saturday, officials said. Now it's time for business news. Today's New York stock close price is 15,002.55. The NYSE Composite is increased by 83.35 points or 0.56%. Tokyo stock close price is 31,601.65. The Nikkei 225 index is increased by 742.80 points or 2.41%. Shanghai stock close price is 3,023.08. The Shanghai index is increased by 4.31 points or 0.14%. Hong Kong stock close price is 17,101.78. The Hang Seng index is decreased by 10.70 points or 0.06%. Bombay stock close price is 63,591.33. The Sensex index decreased by 283.60 points or 0.44%. Let's have a look on today's sports stories. South Africa have continued their march towards the semi-finals of the ICC Cricket World Cup 2023 with a 190-run win over fellow contenders New Zealand at Pune's MCA Stadium, helped by centuries from Quinton de Kock and Rassie van der Dussen. The Proteas posted 357 for 4 after being asked to bat first by New Zealand stand-in captain Tom Latham on Wednesday. Keshav Maharaj took 4 wickets, Marco Jansen took 3 and Gerald Coetzee took 2 as South Africa recorded their 6th win of the tournament to dislodge India from the top of the points table on their net run rate. In a highly anticipated contest days after the two nations clashed in the Rugby World Cup final, de Kock struck 114 and van der Dussen exploded late to score 133. The Proteas built on the de Kock and van der Dussen 200-run stand with 119 in the last 10 overs as David Miller put the New Zealand bowlers to the sword with a 30-ball 53. Saudi Arabia is all but certain to host the men's 2034 FIFA World Cup after the Australian Football Federation declined to enter the bidding contest. FIFA had set Tuesday as the deadline to submit a bid to host the tournament, but Australia's decision to pull out leaves Saudi Arabia as the only declared candidate. We have explored the opportunity to bid to host the FIFA World Cup and, having taken all factors into consideration, we have reached the conclusion not to do so for the 2034 competition, Football Australia said in a statement. FIFA still needs to rubber stamp Saudi Arabia as the host, a decision that is likely to be made next year, but victory now seems a formality. Let's have a look on today's weather forecast. Before finishing today's news, let's hear out the headlines again. Blinken to visit Israel as the US seeks urgent steps to ease regional tensions. US House Republicans' Israel-only aid bill opposed in Senate by Biden. Donald Trump Jr. takes the witness stand in New York trial of fraud suit against his father. Trump asks a court to prevent Michigan Secretary of State from leaving his name off the 2024 ballot. U.S. Virgin Islands declares a state of emergency after lead and copper found in tap water in St. Croix. First foreigners leave Gaza for Egypt through Rafah crossing. Dozens killed as Israel again hits refugee camp. Artificial intelligence safety, UK, US, China signed pledge at first summit. Bolivia cuts ties with Israel over Gaza strikes. Anti-migration deadline, thousands of Afghans leave Pakistan. Bangladesh launches new India-assisted rail projects and thermal power unit amid opposition protest. South Africa beat New Zealand by 190 runs in ICC Cricket World Cup 2023. And Saudi Arabia certain to host 2034 FIFA World Cup as Australia drops out. That's all for today. Keep watching Millennium News Hour for latest news update. To stay updated, like our Facebook page, subscribe our YouTube channel and visit our website. Our website address is www.millenniumnews24.com. Millennium News 24 is transmitted and available to be watched free for all LED TVs such as Sony, Samsung, LG, Roku TV, Amazon TV and Apple TV. And also in all European countries and Australia, available with the Sky Network, Worldwide Jago TV, Radiant IPTV, Worldwide Jago BD Network and Horizon Satellite globally. Stay connected with us for all the latest news worldwide. Thank you.